Welcome to the TEFL Training Institute podcast, the bite-sized TEFL podcast for teachers, trainers, and managers. Hi, everyone.
Hello. So we just started a diploma in TESOL practical block. What's the main thing, Tracy, that people complain about on their diplomas when they have to do teaching practice?
And complaining about the students.
What about the students do they complain about?
Oh, the students' level is too low or is too high. Oh, I want to get rid of the students in my class. I just want to make sure everyone in my class, they have the same English ability,
They're
which
all
is
the same
impossible.
level. Right. There's this quote, Abraham Lincoln, and he said, "You can fool some of the people all of the time and all of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time." Anyway, I was listening to this YouTube video of Penny Ur.
Yeah, Guru.
Yeah. Her talking about mixed ability classes. And she had this really cool quote.
We can teach some of the students all of the time and all of the students some of the time, but we cannot, being realistic, we cannot reach all of the students all of the time. Let's be realistic. We're human beings, they're human beings.
Yeah, in reality, I think is true, because we definitely want every single student in the class to achieve the aims, or they will be able to produce a language or develop the skills. But in reality, it's really difficult because there are mixed ability for teachers, and we need to bear that in mind. It's impossible to make every single student in your class to achieve the same aim or the same goal.
Today we're going to talk about mixed ability classes, and we've got 3 questions.
The first one, what are mixed ability classes? And number 2,
how can you plan to teach mixed ability classes? And number 3,
how can we differentiate for mixed ability classes?
Okay, so the first question, Tracy, what's a mixed ability class?
And we can divide it into different aspects. Of course, there's skills, listening, speaking, writing, and reading.
So slow down there for a second. Have you ever had a class with some students that are really good at speaking but terrible at writing?
Yeah, some students, they're really, really good at reading. They understand everything, but they won't be able to express their self or speak.
Yeah. I think some of that maybe comes from your previous language learning experience. Like for me, learning Chinese, I've never really taken any classes. So my speaking and listening are quite good, but my reading and writing are terrible.
And also in terms of the motivations, we talk about young learners and adult learners a lot. So, different people, they have different reasons why they want to study in the classroom. Maybe for kids, most of them, they were put in the class by their parents. And for adults, maybe for personal reasons, they want to find a better job and they want to travel abroad or study abroad.
So I think sometimes teachers misinterpret that the more confident or the more motivated students are the more have the highest ability or the highest proficiency or something. But maybe that's not true, right?
That's related to like their motivations. For example, some topics they're interested in. And some students in the class I observe and highly motivated in classes related to business. Even said something, I don't want to take classes about common topics like traveling.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, some students are highly motivated talking about planning a trip instead of business content.
So maybe sometimes teachers think that their class is more mixed ability than it is just because they picked the wrong topics or they picked things that were motivating for the students.
Yeah. So any other aspects?
I think the main one is when I think what Penny Ur calls proficiency.
Oh, you love Penny Ur.
I do. I'm gonna quote her again in a minute. So
okay.
Don't get jealous.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think proficiency is the main thing, which I guess is related just to your level of English or your fluency or something. There's also some students are going to learn faster than others. That's another part of ability, isn't it? Not just like the level that you're at now, but how quickly you can adapt and learn.
Yeah, of course, I agree. Everybody takes different lengths of time to digest the knowledge or skills, whatever.
Okay, so those are some of the things that mixed ability incorporates. But what is a mixed ability class? Can I quote Penny Ur again?
Okay. Please.
I'll play a recording of her talking about this. She doesn't say mixed ability, she says heterogeneous, which is kind of a fancy way of saying mixed ability. It kind of includes a few more things. Here it is.
The best definition of a homogeneous class I heard is a class of one. A homogeneous class is a class of one, a heterogeneous class is a class of two. because as soon as you get more than one person, you're into a mixed class. So even a class of 2 is heterogeneous, let alone a class of 40, 50 or 100.
Yeah, I agree. I think if there is more than one student, is mixability. Now we talk about so many different aspects. There must be one aspect. People are different.
And some people say that that's actually an advantage because it gives different people opportunity to learn things from each other. Whereas if everyone had all the same knowledge and the same skills, then there'd be much fewer opportunities for peer learning to happen.
So in the book, Teaching Large Multi-Level Classes, Natalie has said, provide opportunities for students to work at their own pace, in their own style, and of topics of their own choosing. So I think that's including some skills or strategies that teachers can use when we're teaching mixed ability classes.
Okay.
I think it's just help us to move to the next topic.
Okay, so let's talk about our next question. So Tracy, how can teachers plan for mixed ability classes?
So during your lesson planning, and especially for some big tasks, so think about the different roles you can assign to the learners. For example, ordering food in a restaurant. So I asked 3 students working in a group. So 2 of them were pretty strong and 1 is a little bit weak. I asked the weaker one and say, okay, you are the intern in this restaurant and you need to watch or observe your mentor, how she or he helped the customer to order food. And then you can take some notes. And then the second time, you help the customer order food and your mentor will give you some feedback.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's also quite real life, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
that's really what happens when you train people in real life, isn't
And
it?
I think just one, like a role play, and you gave the weaker one more support. And, they can observe, they can watch how it goes the first time, and also give the stronger students another role. And because he or she needs to give the weaker one some feedback. So also encourage like peer evaluation and reflection instead of the teacher controlled the reflection part.
Also, I think if you have a role play and there's thinking of which role is the most challenging role here.
Yeah.
So when you get in the class and you're maybe more aware of how the students are doing in the class, you can be like, all right, you are A in this role play. And you're B, and that you don't just assign them randomly.
Sometimes it can be really simple. One person do it first. The role is more challenging, and then the other person doing something less challenging, and then they can change their
Swap
roles.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just quite easy.
Can I talk about the different handouts now?
Yes, please.
When you're giving the students a worksheet, if it's like fill in the gaps for a listening activity, you just make like 2 or 3 different handouts. You have one with more gaps, one with fewer gaps, and then one with a word bank at the top for the like the words to fill in the gaps. If you're going to take 15 minutes or half an hour to make a handout anyway, like just copy and paste it twice and spend an extra 3 minutes to change it so that you can have differentiated ones. And then you can just ask the students in the class, here's 3 different handouts. One's easy, one's medium, one's difficult. Which one would you guys like?
Challenge by choice.
Challenge by choice.
My
Tracy's
favorite
favorite.
quote. Okay, I've seen teachers developing their own materials a lot and having different versions of handouts, but they end up just giving them based on their understanding about the student's ability.
Yeah.
But actually, why not just give them, some kind of power? Okay, I would like to use this one, and I want to challenge myself. If at the moment I'm not comfortable to do the difficult one, so I want to choose the easy one to build up my confidence.
I think it's in this book by Moon about teaching young learners, and she's got this picture at the start. It's got this like primary school teacher, and she gives one of the students this bunch of materials, and she says, "Oh, Sarah, can you please give this to the duck group or something like that, or the yellow group?" And Sarah says to the teacher, "Is that the thicky group, miss?" And they were, I guess, making the point that it's often really obvious for the people in the class that, like I'm being giving the hard handout, right? Rather than what you said of like getting the students to choose.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about our third question.
So how can we differentiate for mixed ability classes?
One of my favorite things to do when you're giving instructions to students, instead of saying, write down your 5 favorite foods, because then you're giving everyone the same task outcome. You just say, write down at least 3 of your favorite foods, but you can write down more if you can. Students that are slower can write down 3 and they feel that they completed the task, but the learners that are stronger or more confident or quicker can still write down 10. You're not holding anyone back.
Yeah.
I think for me as well, like another really simple thing you can do is just think about how much scaffolding, how much support you're giving students. For example, I sometimes find that teachers will write down a lot of target language and phrases on the whiteboard during the class. And then you might get the students to stand up in 2 lines to have a conversation, a dialogue.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this in a class and afterwards saying to the teacher, do you realize that for the students that were facing the board, the activity was much easier than for the students facing away from the board? Because the students facing the board could see all those phrases. And they're like, oh, no, I didn't realize
just
that.
so easy and just change their position. Yeah.
So like, boom, you can just have all your higher level students facing away from the board. Such an easy thing to do, right? In 1 second.
Cool.
I mean, other things really simple. You can ban some words for some students, right? You have students group together, all the strong students in one group. Okay, you guys, you have to do this role play, but these are the words that you can't use. Or if it's a writing task, you can just give students different word limits, right?
Yeah.
You have to write 50 words, you have to write 200 words or something. All those kind of things are really,
Yeah, it's
really
quite
simple.
Yeah. Don't say I can all the time, or don't say I like all the time. Don't use very all the time.
One final question then. So how do you think teachers should handle correcting students and giving feedback when everyone's at a different level?
I think at the beginning, when you decide your lesson names, you should differentiate them. For a weaker one, in terms of the number of new vocabulary, maybe they can use 3 new words or 2 utterances at the end. For the stronger ones, maybe more. So if the weaker one, they did achieve the aim, why not make specific praise instead of doing error correction with them all the time?
I think back to your Natalie Hess quote earlier, the idea is not that everyone reaches the same aim by the end of the class, but every student makes a little bit of progress from where they were when they came into the classroom.
Yeah, just like a baby cannot walk and you expect them to run. They're not at the stage at the moment and you have to wait and then they will be ready to run.
Okay, Tracy, so do you have any way for teachers to remember what to do for mixed ability classes?
Good question. Now I'm really, really interested in creating acronyms.
Okay, so what's the one for mixed ability classes?
Mixed.
MIXED.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does M stand for?
Manage the classroom, grouping, giving instructions.
And even I think Penny, sorry to mention her again, she talks about how sometimes behavior can be a problem in classes with big mixed abilities because some students get bored because it's too easy, some get bored because it's too hard. So
or like discipline.
What's
and
I?
I is instructions, and you give example before. Don't use these words. Try to use 3 words. For a stronger word, you can say try to use maybe 5 new words.
Right. So giving slightly different instructions to different students in different groups.
Okay.
Great. MIX. What's X?
Expectations, which related to setting aims, objectives, the appropriate expectation of
For
your
different
learners.
students.
Yeah.
Great. E?
Evaluation, error corrections, and giving feedback. Don't always try to pick the errors from the weaker one and then keep correcting and give praise to the stronger ones. So I think if the weaker one, they've already done something or made progress, so why not say something positive about their development?
Yeah, and I guess the same for the higher level students. You can still give them feedback to push them even further, right?
Okay.
MIXED.
The last one is differentiated materials. You spend maybe another 5 minutes and give the learners more options. They can challenge themselves. Challenge by choice.
MIXED, mix. Manage the classroom, different instructions to different groups, different expectations for different groups, different evaluation and feedback, and differentiate the materials. That's easy to remember.
Hope it helps.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
If you've got a question or a topic that you'd like us to discuss, send us an email or leave us a comment.
If you'd like to listen to more podcasts, please visit our website
www.tefltraininginstitute.com.